It gets crazier and crazier. We're going to show you some more of the craziness that's emanated from Washington, D.C. that would limit your freedom as an American. And there's something else that's being limited. If you can believe it, slavery still exists here in the United States of America. And it's a shocking thing that is being done to little children, little girls, boys. But we have a group that is standing against it, and I think you're going to find that very interesting, Terry.
That's exactly right. Many Americans are fed up with sex trafficking, including truck drivers. And as Heather Sells reports, they're helping to find and rescue these innocent victims. Take a look.
Each year, truck drivers rack up almost 400 billion miles transporting goods across the U.S. They see people in places that many of us never will. And that gave anti-trafficking activists an idea.
They're the eyes and ears of our nation's highways. They're out on those lots spending the night when they're on a long haul, and so they're able to capitalize on those moments.
Many drivers like Chris Pagans are willing and able to call authorities when they notice a young girl or woman who might be trafficked.
I think it's wrong. I just think it's wrong. People are not slaves. Slavery's over with.
At least one teenage victim has gone public, thanking the truck driver who saved her.
911.
A couple of girls at the TX 167 trying to do business out here.
He called authorities after spotting the girl and her cousin at a truck stop.
If it wasn't for him calling the police and saying that she just doesn't look right there, I have no idea what would have happened.
Truck stops are often easy places for traffickers to operate. What happened to the two girls who were rescued is typical. Their traffickers kidnapped them, assaulted them, and then took them to truck stops every night, forcing them to meet a quota of customers.
Truckers Against Trafficking want to help more truckers understand the horror that's often right in front of them.
They were seeing girls out on the lots. They were irritated by them because they would say, oh, you get knocks on the cabs 15, 16 times a night when you're trying to sleep.
But with education, says Lieberg, truckers understand that their annoyance can be someone else's bondage.
What they started to see once they were learning about human trafficking was that those knocks might be desperation. I've got to meet this quota because my trafficker is going to beat me at the end of this night if I don't have a quota.
Now the group works with the trucking industry to spread the word. Their message, if you see something suspicious, call the National Trafficking Hotline. Their hope that with increased awareness and involvement, truckers can become a force in shutting down trafficking on our nation's highways.
Oh, that trucker, the one that made that phone call, I think about him all the time. I have never met him. I don't know who he is, but boy, I owe him a lot.
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Thanks, Heather. This is one of the most hideous forms of slavery, ladies and gentlemen. It's something that we really need to do something about. There's certain crimes that are really heinous, and the perpetrators of those crimes should be locked up forever. And they are the ones who the law enforcement should concentrate on. But instead, we're locking up people who aren't doing anything. And you just say, what crime are they committing? They don't even know because it's in some regulation of some federal agency. 300,000 or more. And the government can't tell you how many crimes there are. But we're going to bring you another shocking example of this government running amok. And we continue the series called The Nation of Criminals. Lee Webb has the rest of our top stories, first from the CBN newsroom. Lee, what do you have?
Pat, an overwhelming majority of doctors believe medicine in America is headed in the wrong direction, and most blame the government for it. 9 out of 10 doctors say they think the medical system is on the wrong track. 83% have considered quitting because of the president's new health care law. 72% say the Obamacare individual mandate will not result in better access to health care. 95% say medicine is becoming too controlled by large corporations. The nonpartisan Doctor-Patient Medical Association conducted this survey, and you can find a link to it on cbnnews.com. Mitt Romney led President Obama in fundraising last month. The president raised $71 million in June. Romney raised $106 million during that same period. It was the second straight month Romney collected more money than the president. The Obama campaign is concerned it could lose the election if it loses the money race. Senate Democrats are pushing tax cuts for businesses now. They want companies to be able to hire new workers, give raises, or buy expensive new equipment this year. Republicans say Democrats just want to take credit for some job creation during this election year. It's possible Republicans will use procedural blocks to derail the measure. The sun has been unleashing an increasing number of powerful solar flares recently. The sun is headed toward the height of its 11-year weather cycle. It's expected to hit that peak next year, and scientists are watching the flares closely to see if they could threaten Earth. They could disrupt satellites, air travel, and radio communications. But the biggest concern is a threat to the electric power grids. Experts disagree on how long it might take to restore power if a severe flare knocked out an electrical system. Pat?
Well, Lee, I was just in an area that was hit strongly by not solar flares, just plain old wind. It was high wind, and the term used was derecha, which in Spanish is used for saying go ahead, or derecha, or to the right. It depends on how you read it. But and anyhow, this wind hit, and it hit from the Ohio Valley in Illinois, Ohio, Kentucky, and all the way into Virginia. And millions of people were suddenly without power. Where I was, there was no water and no electricity for a few days. Things are now back to normal in most of the areas. Still some people without power and terrible heat. But just think what happened if there was an electromagnetic pulse that came out of the sun and fried the electrical grid. There's some people who think that could happen. Now, I don't know about those Mayans. They were Indians living in the jungle in Central America, but they had an extraordinarily sophisticated system of analyzing the stars. They didn't have any telescopes. They didn't have the Hubble electronic telescopes or any of this. But they projected that on December the 21st, 2012, there would be let's see, 800 year change where the planets in our solar system would line up with the center of the galaxies, and it would exert unusual stress on our planet. Well, we'll see if that happens. But whether the Mayans were right or not, the solar flares are being observed, and they're getting very intense. If they fry our electricity, boy, you'd better have something standing by. Lee?
Egypt's newly elected political leaders may be heading for a showdown with the military. The Islamist-dominated parliament there defied a ruling by Egypt's highest court and went back into session today. That only adds to the power struggle between new President Mohamed Morsi, seen right there, and the powerful Egyptian military. The military says it sides with the Constitution, legitimacy, and law, and it warns it will not stand by if it feels those standards are breached. A rare piece of biblical history is on display in Fort Worth, Texas. The Dead Sea Scroll collection is housed temporarily at the Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. The display is the largest, most comprehensive ever assembled. Charlene Israel has more.
Discovered in Israel in 1947, the scrolls date as far back as 150 BC.
These were considered the greatest archaeological find of the 20th century.
For biblical scholars, they're the most important discovery of the last 70 years. Now, visitors can see the ancient scrolls at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Dallas. The exhibit is the culmination of 40 years of work by the school's president.
Of all the cities in the world, Fort Worth has the largest exhibit of Dead Sea documents outside of Jerusalem. And so Fort Worth should be ecstatic.
Visitors also share in the excitement of seeing the scrolls and other authentic artifacts and replicas from the Middle East.
This is just mind-blowing.
It is so very cool. I'm sitting here thinking I need to go to Jerusalem. I need to see, everything firsthand. Can't wait to get inside and see the actual discoveries.
The scroll display sits in a dimly lit room designed to protect the sensitive documents from light and dry air. A total of 21 fragments make up the display. Many are from private collections that have never been seen by the public and rarely on display outside of Israel.
The Genesis document is a large scroll fragment that is the largest in private hands now, and it is beautifully done. They don't even need infrared to read this. It's just right out in the open there.
Visitors can view these pieces of biblical history through January 13th, 2013. Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Amazing. And Pat, a portion of the Gutenberg Bible and a 1611 King James Bible are also on display at that museum.
Well, I congratulate Paige Patterson for that coup. That is a coup of bringing these Dead Sea Scroll or fragments to the public, and I think that's worth going to see. Southwestern Bible in what, Fort Worth?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
The Ohio Supreme Court has agreed to hear the case of a fired public school teacher accused of preaching Christianity in his classroom. John Freshwater taught 8th grade science. The Mount Vernon, Ohio School Board dismissed him last year over accusations that he preached his Christian beliefs to students. He also kept a Bible on his desk. 2 lower courts upheld his dismissal, but Ohio's high court said Freshwater can argue now that it's unconstitutional to fire someone without clear guidance on what teaching materials or methods are acceptable and over the mere presence of a Bible in the classroom. Episcopal bishops have voted in favor of an official prayer that blesses gay couples. They approved new liturgy at their General Convention in Indianapolis. The resolution allows same-sex couples to make a vow to each other, exchange rings, and be declared bound to one another in a holy covenant as long as they both shall live. The resolution still has to be approved by clergy and lay people. If it is approved, the Episcopal Church will become the largest denomination in the U.S. with rights for same-sex unions. Many Episcopalians, of course, left the denomination after the church consecrated its first openly homosexual bishop in 2003. Opponents say blessing gay couples will deepen those divisions. The bishops also approved giving transgendered people the right to become ministers. That resolution also faces a final vote. You can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.